It's that time of year again, the dreaded fall time change. On Sunday, November 6th, daylight savings time ends and the clock falls back, basically shoving an extra hour into our day. Now, when I was 20, I was like, sweet, super long Saturday night. But once I had kids, I was like, kill me now. Whose idea was this? See, kids' bodies are sensitive, and absorbing that extra hour of time can throw off even the best sleepers. So let me teach you a step-by-step method to survive the time change with everyone's sleep intact. Let me start by saying the best thing you can do to survive the time change is make sure that your child has great sleep habits all year long. Now, great sleep habits for kids under 6 years old mean falling asleep before 8 p.m. and sleeping 10 to 12 hours through the night by themselves with no wake-ups. Now, if that sounds great, but you need help actually figuring out how to make that happen, I encourage you to join my next free toddler sleep masterclass. Like I said, it's free, but you do have to reserve your spot. And you can do that at awesomelittlesleepers.com/masterclass. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Now, even if you don't have the perfect sleeper quite yet, you can still survive the time change by planning ahead a little bit and using a gradual adjustment strategy that I'm going to teach you today. Like I mentioned, when daylight savings time ends on November 6th, we basically get like an hour shoved into our day. So by gradually adjusting your child's internal clock in the days leading up to the time change, it helps them absorb that hour a little bit better without becoming really overtired, just cranky monsters. So let me give you an example. If your child normally goes to bed at 7 p.m., on Sunday, November 6th, after the time changes, 7 p.m. is actually going to be the same as 8 p.m. was the day before. So essentially, if you just use the clock and put your kid to bed at 7 after the time changes, it's like putting them to bed at 8. It's like putting them to bed an hour later. Now, some people do this and kind of just push through, but if you've ever tried to just put your kid to bed an hour later than normal, you might realize it usually doesn't go that well. So what you're going to do in the days leading up to the time change is gradually move your child's bedtime later towards 8 p.m. so that 1 hour isn't shoved into their day all at once. This gradual adjustment strategy applies to both bedtime and nap time. If your child is under 3 years old or has really sensitive sleep needs, meaning like they're real creatures of habit and they thrive on their specific bedtime, then I want you to start this gradual adjustment process on the Wednesday before the time change. So here's what I want you to do. Starting on Wednesday, I want you to move bedtime 15 minutes later. So let's say their normal bedtime is 7 p.m. You're going to move it to 7:15. On Thursday, you're going to move it 15 minutes later again. So now you're up to 7:30. On Friday, you guessed it, 15 more minutes, 7:45. And on Saturday, another 15 minutes. So now your 7 p.m. bedtime is now 8 p.m. And then once Sunday comes around and the time has changed and the clock falls back, you're going to go back to using the clock for that 7 p.m. bedtime because the 7 p.m. bedtime on Sunday is the same as the 8 p.m. bedtime was on Saturday. And you've given your child a chance to get used to that. If your child is over 3 years old or just generally a pretty good sleeper, they may be able to absorb this extra hour in some bigger chunks of time. Or if you've just kind of waited a bit to get started, you can go ahead and start on Friday and add 30 minutes to their bedtime. So let's say their bedtime is normally 7. On Friday, you put them to bed at 7:30. And then on Saturday, you add another 30 minutes and then you put them to bed at 8. Then when Sunday rolls around, you just use the clock and put them to bed at 7 p.m. on Sunday, which is the same as 8 p.m. was on Saturday. Now, if this whole time change concept makes your head spin like it kind of does mine, I created a free download for you so you have more of a visual guide to help you figure out exactly how to adjust your child's bedtime in the days leading up to the time change on November 6th. I'll put a link to that in the description. The fall time change just feels weird to all of us for a few days. So once the time does shift on Sunday, go ahead and start using the clock for, bedtimes and nap times moving forward. And just know that it might take a few days for your child's circadian rhythms to really get used to the new time, and that's totally normal. If your child really never seems tired at night and you feel like you've always struggled to figure out the right bedtime, check out this video next.